I'm Dakion, and this is day 20 of the 2015 May Mayhem Painting Challenge as issued by Warboss Tay. What have I gotten up to today? Well, not a whole lot of work. I've been sort of tired after work, after my real work that is, so the amount of painting work been done is not that great. I've gone in on these investigators and I tried to get started painting the eyes. I mostly was unhappy with the result. I was using the second method that I described before, where you can tell here that I've gone in and done first the white and then the black and then the outlines. But I just messed it all up. I'm gonna redo them. And especially for these two guys, you see their hats are shadowing their eyes quite a lot. I mean, you would have to pick the mini up and tilt it almost upside down to actually see the eyes. So I think I'm not gonna worry too much about them, especially also since this guy, his player character is specified as being African American, so I'm gonna paint him a very dark skin tone, and that plus the brim of the hat shadowing the eyes means, yeah, you're not gonna see them. However, for these two guys, he's got the hat pushed up and he's not wearing a hat, so their eyes are very visible. I've spent most of my time working on the preacher here, Father Mike, as the character in the role-playing game is known. Now let's see if we can get the camera to focus. No? Okay, zoom then. Is that better? Yeah, there we see. I've done the eyes to sort of okay standard. They're pretty small. Here's the thing. These minis are a large scale. These are, I think they're 30 or 32 mil. I should really get a ruler and measure them. But they are done to realistic proportions, which means the head and the hands are proportionate, for example, to the body, which they are not in, for example, a GW mini. The so-called heroic scale means that heads and hands are magnified and made much bigger. It's a more cartoony style. These are realistic, which means that, for example, the eyes will be really, really tiny at this scale. But I've gone in and base coated the skin, and for this guy, I'm going to do some different skin tones. Like I said, I'm going to do one African sort of skin tone, two typical pale Caucasians. This guy is going to be more tan because he is specified as being of Mediterranean descent. So he's got to be a slightly darker Caucasian. And so for the base, I've used this Vallejo Game Color Extra Opaque Heavy Skin Tone, which is a nice tan skin tone. Okay, let's zoom back out. I've done a few other things. I base coated the book because it is sort of below his fingers. If I paint the hand completely and then go in afterwards and try to paint the book, I might mess up the fingers. So I put at least a base coat on the book cover. And then I thought it would be fun to have the shoes be basically the same color as the book, tie the whole thing together. Now they're not going to look the same in the end because I think the shoes I'm mostly going to shade down. The book I'm going to highlight up. But they still have the same color somewhere in them, which will be an interesting effect. Oh, and for the between the fingers, the dark lines, I've been experimenting with these liner paints from Reaper. This is brown liner between his fingers. I've also, on this guy, experimented a bit with the gray liner in some of the creases. It might simply look like natural shadows to you, but I've actually gone in with paint in the folds here in the trench coat. I don't have any instruction manual that tells me what the idea with the liners is, but the very name seems to implicate that you're supposed to line, that is, do what's known as black lining or dark lining with them. And it seems that they are formulated to behave in a way that they flow more easily into creases and crevices than normal paint. So they sort of behave a little bit like a wash or an ink, but without the loss of control that you get from a wash or an ink, because a wash or an ink is so watery that it just runs everywhere and you can't control it at all. These are still paints. You can still sort of control where they go. The way I grasp it right now is they're an experiment at trying to find a sort of middle ground there between the washes and the paints. Anyway, this is what I've gotten done so far. Next thing to do is to highlight up. Oh, and the brown liner is also in his mouth, and I sort of dry brushed very carefully across his teeth to pick those out. So I'm going to highlight up the face and the hands is the next thing to do with this guy. After which I will go into the hair. I've been thinking about base coating the hair first, just to get a sort of frame for the thing, but well, we'll see what I do. I'm not sure. Anyway, the question of the day is that, oh, this is the week 3 wrap-up. Did you achieve your primary objective for week 3? Oh yes, indeed, because my primary objective was to finish the librarian, and I have done so. Victory! Yes. And I don't have to tell you my next goal until tomorrow, so haha, you'll just have to wait. However, I will append a slideshow at the end of this with some still pics of the finished librarian, so you'll have something to look at. Tomorrow, maybe a little more progress, but as I think I've mentioned before, these videos will be pretty short and not a lot will get done each day until next week. I think Monday is going to be a good painting day, hopefully, but we'll see. So, leaving you with the librarian until tomorrow. Have a good day, and this is Doc Eon signing off.